In dusty barns across America, among piles of forgotten junk and moth-eaten upholstery, there are cars waiting. Some have been idle for decades, but behind faded paint and rusted trunks, one name still sends a chill through muscle car fans: the Chevrolet Nova SS. Under that unassuming shell lurks compact fury, a car designed to surprise. Light enough to outrun fear, but strong enough to dominate the quarter-mile. This is the story of how a humble Chevy became one of drag racing's greatest legends. It began as the economy class Chevy II, intended to serve the everyday driver. Yet by the late 1960s, something unexpected happened. The Nova evolved into a street-and-strip weapon. Cheap to own, light on its feet, yet capable of swallowing a big block V8 and demolishing traffic lights, the Nova SS became a sleeper legend. Today, many of those beasts sit forgotten in barns. But all it takes is one turn of the key, one stomp on the throttle, to remind the world, this is no ordinary car. The Nova's story unfolds across several generations, but three matter most for the SS legacy. The first generation, known as the shoebox, 1962 to 1965, was boxy, small, and unassuming. Early Novas were economy machines, with V8s only arriving toward the end of the run. That made performance builds rare and cramped under tighter engine bays. The second generation, or hardtop, 1966 to 1967, brought sharper lines and a sportier appeal. The SS package here became more desirable, with engines like the 327L79 showcasing what compact car performance could be. Still, heavy-duty drag builds were limited by chassis space. The third generation, often called the muscle legend, 1968 to 1974, is the golden era of the Nova SS. With a 111-inch wheelbase, revised subframe, and body strong enough to accept big block engines, this generation could swallow a 396 or 402 cubic inch big block Chevy with room to spare. It was a small car with big power, giving it an enormous performance advantage. By 1970, even as the muscle car era began to fade due to fuel crises and emission laws, the myth of the Nova SS was already firmly established. What made the Nova SS a drag racing legend was its perfect combination of lightweight, big power, and affordability. A stripped-down Nova often weighed under 3,200 pounds, hundreds of pounds lighter than larger muscle cars. That lightness, combined with a big block engine, allowed for explosive acceleration. Unlike many compact cars, the third-gen Nova's engine bay and front subframe could accept large engines like the 396 or 402 BBC. That meant massive torque in a nimble body, a formula for domination on the drag strip. The Nova's simple rear suspension was another advantage. Its leaf spring live axle, often criticized by sedan purists, proved ideal for drag racing. Traction bars and proper tires allowed the car to launch hard without complicated suspension setups. And because the Nova was originally an economical, cheap to insure compact, it became the perfect canvas for backyard mechanics and drag racers to build their own street-and-strip legends. Stock performance varied depending on engine choice. The 350ci small block V8 produced around 300 horsepower in 69 to 70 models, achieving 0 to 60 miles per hour in roughly 7.0 to 7.8 seconds and a quarter mile in 15.3 to 15.9 seconds. The coveted 396/402 big block engines could reach 375 horsepower, with 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 6 seconds and quarter-mile times of 14 to 14.5 seconds. These numbers made the Nova SS a formidable opponent even in stock form. Factory options like front disc brakes, heavy-duty suspension, and SS badging added to its performance credibility and aesthetic appeal. Beyond factory specs, the real magic of the Nova SS was in what builders did with it. Hot rodders dropped in big blocks, swapped in strong transmissions like the Muncie 4-speed or TH400 automatics, and upgraded rear ends to 12-bolt differentials. Subframe connectors, disc brake conversions, and performance leaf springs transformed these cars into quarter-mile monsters. Highly modified Novas have run in the 10 to 11-second range, while extreme turbocharged or nitrous builds have even cracked the 7-second quarter-mile barrier. Even today, the Nova SS remains a favorite among grassroots drag racers for its affordability, mod-friendliness, and proven performance. The early 1970s brought challenges. Rising fuel costs, stricter emission standards, and changing consumer preferences led to a decline in high-performance engines. By 1973 to 1974, the 350 V8 in SS spec produced only 175 to 185 horsepower, far less than the 375 horsepower big blocks of earlier years. Performance options dwindled, and many Novas ended up neglected or left to rust in barns. Yet ironically, this decline helped preserve many originals, giving modern collectors and racers the opportunity to restore or modify true factory machines. For anyone hunting a Nova SS today, there are a few key things to check. Solid rear quarters, intact floor pans, and a strong front subframe are essential. Watch out for rust in common problem areas like the trunk drop-offs, rear window channels, and cowl vents. Upgrading weak rear ends, drum brakes, and suspension geometry is often necessary for safe street use. Even with these challenges, finding a barn-find Nova SS with potential can be the first step toward creating a street and strip legend. The legacy of the Nova SS is undeniable. It proved that a compact car could host big power without compromise. It demonstrated that affordability and performance could coexist, inspiring generations of hot rodders to build their own machines. A stock 396/402 Nova SS could achieve 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 6 seconds and a quarter mile in 14 to 14.5 seconds, numbers that many modern cars still respect. Even decades later, Novas remain popular for drag racing and street builds, a testament to their enduring design and legendary status. So next time you pass a dusty garage or a barn on a quiet country road, look twice. Behind a faded coat of paint or under a tarp might be a Nova SS, waiting for the moment you crank the key, drop in a big block, and remind the world, muscle cars don't die, they just sleep. The Nova SS was never about being flashy, it was about raw potential, buried power, and mechanical rebellion. Whether restored or rebuilt into a modern hell machine, the Nova SS remains one thing, a legend. And legends, no matter how long they stay silent, always roar back to life.